Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another season, to the beginning of World Team League 2023 Winter. Of course, Winter Round 1, Day number 1. I'm, of course, your host, VIP, and with me, I'm joined by the lovely plushies and the people in the chat. And oh my god, it's so exciting. It is so exciting. We had weeks, months even of qualifiers. Went through qualifiers for Code A, went into Code A itself as well. So many teams came in, but only 3 made it out of the qualifiers. We had Maru Esports, we had the KWANGDONG Freecs, and we also had, oh my god, we also had another team make it through as well, which I'm drawing. Maru, KWANGDONG Freecs, and Mystery Gaming, that's it. I almost said Twisted Minds. Mystery Gaming came out as 3rd place as well. They all qualified for the main event for Code S, and now we are here with day number 1. New intro, new graphics, new everything, new logo. Oh my god. But same old casters. I'll be joined later on in a couple of days by Asher and by some of the other cranky ducklings as well, and we're just having a look at teams because we have quite a number of matches ahead of us. Oh, yo, do we have new jerseys? Let's go. The KWANGDONG Freecs versus ONSYDE Gaming is up first, and we are having a look at the players. Interesting. So in the previous seasons, we had these hexagons. We had these hexagons with all of these stats that were assigned. Here, it looks like we have an ELO rating instead. Stats, of course, being the ace player, apparently, for KWANGDONG Freecs. Or I guess he's up first, so maybe that's why they were showing him off. But here is the lineups for tonight. We have Maru versus Stats, Ryung versus Su, and Solar versus TY. If you are in the chat, you have a couple of seconds to place your predictions in our Discord server. We do have predictions going on in Discord at the moment. And we can also, I guess we can have some predictions going on in chat as well, just for the overall series, or if Kuro wants to, maybe for every single series, every single best of 2. It's a lot of work, but we'll see if we can get something going. Regardless, some amazing matches are before us, and I'm not done getting excited. Okay, first I want to see if we have some hexagons, or if we have some stats going on. No pun intended. But new patch, new maps. The new patch and the new maps were live today. Live earlier today on the NA region. We have been laddering. I was streaming earlier today as well. We were having a great time on the new patch, on the new maps. 9 maps. It's crazy. Something that we haven't had before, I believe. 9 live maps on the ladder. And we have confirmation. We are playing on the new patch. Tonight's matches, and of course moving forward, everything will be on the new patch. Even though the patch isn't live in Europe, for example, if we have some European on European action, we will either be playing using a mod that does implement the patch, or they'll just be playing on US East. One or the other. I think they're still just kind of ironing out the details on that. But yeah, we have the new patch before us, the new Cyclone, of course, all the changes to all the units as well, like the Baneling, the Lurker, the Brood Lord, etc. There's a whole list of changes that have been made, and yeah, it's exciting. It's refreshing to see that come into play, and we'll see how the meta will mold and will evolve over the course of the next couple of weeks, and how things will settle down, bearing in mind that on the horizon we have DreamHack Winter. We have WTL, of course, WTL Winter. We have DreamHack Winter as well. The qualifiers, GSL, all these big leagues and big tournaments are starting over the next couple of weeks. And it's going to be a really interesting time because the patch is going live now, and I don't know how much experience a lot of these players have on the new patch, on the new maps as well. There are so many. To have 9 maps, the veto process is going to be a little bit different as well, and it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how things evolve and how things kind of, settle over time. And I think players that are a little bit more innovative, a little bit more creative, they're going to have an edge here in the early weeks of the patch when it comes to exploring new builds, exploring new maps, exploring new strategies, and how to abuse certain things. So yeah, I'm looking at players like TY, for example. I'm looking at Hero. I'm looking at Dark as well. These players that aren't the most standard of players. These players that are willing to innovate and explore as well. It's exciting stuff. That's why I'm actually really excited about Solar versus TY, because obviously Solar is one of the best Zerg players in Korea, and TY is still working his way back up. But again, TY, he's more than willing to play mech. And with the new Cyclone, TY, he may be able to spread his wings farther than he has before. So very excited to see TY later on. Meanwhile, we do have, of course, our players. It looks like we have gotten rid of the hexagons. Oh, feels bad, man. We have the ELO. The current ELO here of Maru is just under 900. What does that mean? I'm not entirely sure. It looks like He's been given some numbers here based on the previous seasons of WTL and his performances, question mark. I'm not entirely sure how these numbers have been gathered, not fully yet. Maybe it's just over time, over years. Regardless, we do have our players. This does mean that we can't have a look at like mindsets or like defensive play, aggression, all that stuff, all these different attributes that we used to assign to players. It looks like they've gotten away with that, which is a little bit sad. We had a lot of fun with that, you know, with certain memes going on about like adjusting it and certain players having like really strong mindsets or really weak mindset, for example. We had a lot of fun with it, but it looks like they did get rid of it, unfortunately. Meanwhile, it is the new patch, but it looks like we are using the old maps. Now, for those wondering, the reason for this is the starting map was predetermined. So days ago, the players were preparing for these maps specifically, leading up to this week of StarCraft. So this first week is going to be on the old maps. Next week and moving forward, it'll be on the new maps. Again, the reason for that is because, you know, this was predetermined ahead of time and the players have been preparing. But here we go. In the bottom right hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have the South Korean Terran player Maru for ONSYDE Gaming. And in the top left-hand corner, we have for the KWANGDONG Freecs, Stats. Kappa. I just saw in the jersey. He's got Kappa. Aye. But we have some new overlays.
Actually, I want to say, from what I remember, it was said that the first starting map will be from the old map pool, but the second map can be from the new map pool, depending on what the players pick.
There you go. So if you heard Kura from production, so again, the starting maps were all predetermined, not just the starting maps, I believe the ace map as well. But according to Kura and according to what we've been told, they can pick the new maps from here. So exciting stuff here in the first week of WTL. Not just WTL, but of course we have a massive slew of tournaments on the horizon. We have Sparkling Tuna Cup, we have Grand Platypus Open, and we have the ESL Open Cups as well, which will all be taking place on new maps and the new pool, the new patch as well. So oh boy, excitement in the air. Meanwhile, for now, we're getting into some standard openers. And again, the openers here shouldn't really be changing too much. I know there have been a lot of changes that have been implemented, a lot of changes that will be affecting this matchup as well. But we'll see if the players do explore that a little bit. For the time being, though, we do have a much more standard opener here. We have a double gas opener from Maru. So interesting. Maru historically has been going for these more economic openers against Protoss. But this game, at least against Stats, he's going for a double gas opener. That means Maru is going to be delaying his expansion. He's going to be going for a faster factory. Is going to be applying more pressure early on here, just focusing a little more on his on his setup, less so on his expansion. Meanwhile, across the map, we have Stats likewise going for a gate expand or a gate cyber expand. Nothing too crazy out of him either. Everything looking normal here as we get into Dragon Scales. I'll be honest, I've been laddering all day today on the new maps, and it's so jarring going back to Dragon Scales. Something that I love about the new maps, I don't want to talk about them too much because like we're not featuring them right now, but a lot of them are very vibrant, and it's so refreshing and so pleasing to the eyes after being maps like Dragon Scales and things that have been a little bit more monotone in a way. As we have some bit of a misrally there, a little bit more monotone. But yeah, there are so many like bright and colorful maps that have been introduced, and it's nice. It's pleasing to the eye. You know, it's eye candy. It feels good, man. Not quite there yet, though, as we do see those probes eventually going back to working. The scouting probe is going to be hunted down by the Reaper. Didn't get to see too much, but I believe when it did tase that building, it did see the CC on the high ground, did see it being built. So Stats should be aware as it was a double gas opener. He should be getting ready back at home. Speaking of getting ready back at home, we do have a Stargate opener for... Oh, no! The Adept was stuck on the other side and got recalled. Again, a bit of a mistake there from Stats. But we do have a Stargate opener as Maru does knock himself over the wall, slips in, confirms the Stargate, confirms the Phoenix. It's in production as well from our Protoss player. Maru sees everything, and even if it does get hunted down, the Reaper has already paid for itself. Didn't deal any damage, but got a lot of scouting information. Something that I should talk about as well when it comes to the players, and I should have mentioned coming into this, is that Stats is a returning player. He hasn't been full-time for he hasn't really been full-time, even though he did return from the military at the start of the year, or even before that, actually. Stats wasn't really active in the competitive scene. He was playing in tournaments every now and then, but Stats, his main focus is elsewhere, and that's kind of showing here. We've seen him a little bit rough around the edges already this game, and what I'm excited about, maybe not this week, but in the coming weeks, is one, Stats did qualify for GSL this season, and he is playing in WTL because he's a part of KWANGDONG FREECS. So because of this, a lot of these returning players like Stats, Armani, Keen as well, TY, Sue, even though they aren't full-time like they used to be, now they have things to participate in. Now they have things to play in, and they have reason to improve, to compete, to get stronger here, and I'm looking forward to seeing them get into better and better shape. Meanwhile, Maru is pushing out across the map. This is the setup for a 2-base all-in. It does make sense, especially off of a double gas opener. Maru, he's moving out across the map with tanks, and he is not scattered. Stats doesn't see until now. Stats had no idea what was happening. He doesn't have a shield battery on the way. He has a robotics bay as well. He's setting up for Phoenix Colossus. But again, typically when you're going for this, Phoenixes, they have to chip away at the army. They have to slow down the push from Maru, and he hasn't been slowing down at all. He's here. He's across the map. He's within range to the shield battery, within range of the Immortal as well. And this position is already compromised. A second tank rocks up, overcharges pop, but it goes down instantly. And with that, Maru, he breaks on in. Oh my god, a bit of friendly fire on the Marines. A lot of Marines get low, but they're still alive. They still survive, and they're pushing on forward. Marines are getting picked off. Another shield battery is about to finish up, but no, the Artosis pylon goes down. The pylon falls. The Robo's depowered. A second Immortal will not come out, and it looks like this is just becoming too much as Maru breaks in. GG gets called, and Maru takes game number 1. GG, Maru not letting Stats get into his game. Just a solid build out of Maru. He was able to scout the opener, able to get into his all-in, able to execute it quite well. And unfortunately for Stats, it was his job to get eyes on this ahead of time. He went for a Phoenix opener, which means he should have map control. He should be moving out, should be getting eyes on the production, on the economy here of his opponent, and also, more importantly, the move outs from Maru as well. So we could slow it down, try to chip away at the medevacs, for example, the Marines, the Marauders, the tanks, whatever he could get his hands on. But Stats, he didn't see it until it was right outside his doorstep. He clearly wasn't ready for it, and Maru takes game 1. Does take that first game, but now it's going to be Stats' map pick, and I wonder, actually, so if I'm not mistaken, I was going to say, has he been playing on the new maps? Is he willing to whip out a new map? The reality is that Stats, I believe, or say the reality, I believe the new patch is not yet on the Korean server. It's only on NA, from my understanding. I know it's not on EU, but I think it also isn't on the Korean server. If that's the case, then I don't know if Stats has really had the time to delve into the new maps. I don't know if he's willing to whip that out anytime soon. Just because I don't know how much he's familiar with the new maps. He has the option though. He has the option if he wants to spice things up, and maybe he did hop on over to the NA server, and he has been laddering, and he has been, actually exploring options. I know that a bunch of these players did compete. Players have, but I don't know too much about the Korean players and how much they've been dabbling in the PTR or preparing for that Wardy tournament, for example. So we are going to be getting ready here for game number 2. Again, Stats picking Gresfun, and we are loading on in. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player. It is Maru for ONSYDE Gaming. Oh. And in the bottom right-hand corner for the KWANGDONG Freecs, it is Stats. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. So in the previous game, we were on Dragon Scales, a much smaller map in the map pool, not as small as Neo Humanity when it comes to the rush distance, but a very short rush distance nonetheless. So it makes sense for Maru to piece together a 2-base all-in on a map like that. And I imagine we're going to be seeing something similar here from Stats as well. Oh, sorry, I should say. It makes sense to go for an all-in on a map like Dragon Scales, on some of the smaller maps like Neo Humanity, even Babylon as well. So it makes sense that Stats were to pick Gresfun. The reason for that is this is a much larger map, and this map is known for its more macro play, getting into the mid game, getting into the late game as well. So this map to me tells me that Stats wants some breathing room. He wants Maru to back the hell off. We can even see here he's a little bit paranoid. He's going to be scouting for proxy Raxes. He checks the standard locations over at the linear third, over at the center base as well. So Stats wants to make sure he doesn't get bamboozled. And again, This map tells us at least that Stats, he wants to get into the swing of things. He wants to get into his Colossus production. He wants to get into his map control. He wants to get into his game. But we'll see if he can. We'll see if he can. As for the time being, Maru's going for a scout. I believe he went for a Rax expand, so a single gas. Oh, no, sorry, my mistake. Did go for a double gas opener once again. I was just looking at the minimap, and for some reason I thought I saw a blue blob. I did not. I'm seeing things. So went for a double gas opener once again. So just like the previous game, Maru is going to go for a faster factory. It means his CC is going to be delayed here from our Terran player, and is looking to get into something more aggressive. Now, this doesn't have to lead into an all-in, which is what we saw last game, but it can lead into aggression early on, before, of course, focusing on the economy. And we'll see if Stats can piece it together. He goes in for a Probe Scout once again. Gets eyes not much. He sees the racks and the add-on, but doesn't see anything else. If you remember, in the previous game, he got eyes on the CC. This time, he doesn't get eyes on the building CC, as he's going for a Stargate opener once again. And that's not a bad choice. You know, Stargate openers are very standard to get into Phoenixes, to get map control. But again, something that I was a little bit critical of in the last game is that, sure, you had Stargate play should give you map control, but you have to be active with it. You have to be active in the face of the Terran player, and you need to be keeping an eye on what Maru is up to, because Maru, again, he clearly is willing to be in your face and being aggressive, and you need to know when that is happening. Meanwhile, the Reaper dips in. I believe the Reaper did see the tech. The Stargate was close enough to that pylon, so Maru, he's fully aware of the Stargate opener, and we'll see what he goes for. Phoenix is on the way. Maru didn't see the first unit. For all he knows, it could be an Oracle first, but as we can see, it's going to be a Phoenix. Meanwhile, a shout out to the sponsors. We have Doyu, Tidal, and Autofill. Unfortunately, Rio de Janeiro and Hypergrip are not sponsors this season, but a shout out to Autofull. Sorry, I said Autofill. Autofull. Do I know what they are? God, no. But we'll figure it out. In my brain, Autofull is like maybe a car company. Maybe
they have like a lightning. Is it like electric cars? Maybe
electric cars. I was gonna say, because this is Autofull, maybe it was like a gas company, like some petroleum. I don't know. But maybe it's electricity. True, it could be electricity. For now, Phoenix is gonna be dipping in. Does avoid the Widow Mine. A very nicely placed Widow Mine, and Maru, he's getting into a more standard opener. We have a safety Cyclone on the way. We have a Liberator in production. So Maru's looking to be aggressive across the map, looking to harass a little bit. But again, the Cyclone is very standard here, especially against Stargate play. You're able to keep up. You're able to... Actually, I wonder, with this Liberator, we could actually commit to a push. Yeah, we have a second Cyclone on the way. Okay, hello, new Cyclone, Papi. Okay, so we are going to be moving out now. There's a couple of changes to the Cyclone, of course. One of the biggest ones is that it doesn't have as much of a lock-on range to work with, but they are cheaper, they're more flexible, and here we go. We are going to be pushing out across the map. Widow Mines are in tow. Looks like Stats is getting ready back at home. He did spot this coming ahead of time. Shield battery, though, still in production. Lock-on was broken. Again, it doesn't take too much at all here to break said lock-on, but at the same time, Maru is looking to try to take control of that area, of that cybercore at least, and that pylon is going to go down. Oof. A very exposed pylon and a big depowering of the Stargate of that gateway as well. Additional pylons are thrown down for Stats. Gonna try to repower that, but the cybercore gets focused down. Ay. Meanwhile, Stats going to try to break this position. Again, these Vanilla Marines are having a hard time pushing forward. Cyclone goes down, and Stats will clean this up. But the damage was done. That Liberator got into the main. Oh my god. In the midst of all that chaos, 5 probes went down to the main base, and Maru, he did more than enough damage here to really justify getting pushed away. Maru, he saved a lot of his units, and Maru did save a lot of his units, of course. He did preserve them, and across the map, he was able to deal economic damage, able to take down the cyber core, disrupt Phoenix production, and he has a third base already finishing up. Something that you don't see too often here in this matchup is a Terran player up in bases. Typically, it's the Protoss. Typically, the Protoss is up a base, and they have to be up a base because of mules. But Maru's already got his third CC finishing up. He's looking to snowball and macro out of control. Stats trying to vie for map control. He's moving out across. He's trying to get some economic damage. He needs to pick off a couple of SCVs if possible. Maybe even a high-tech unit like said Banshee. Banshee? What? Raven. As the Raven is hidden there behind that natural base. Phoenix is going to be dipping in. Interesting how we see some weird text on the right hand side. It's this is of course the Raven upgrade that is coming in, but it looks like a bit of a bug. It actually says upgrade name, so it's we're seeing some of the code text. It looks like it'll be fixed. It's fine. As Phoenixes are diving on in, they get behind the mineral line. They get a mule. Pretty good pickoff. Mule a couple of SCVs as well, forcing Maru back in. This is necessary damage. Again, Maru, he's up at base. He's about to be up in workers. So every SCV that goes down here is just a way for stats to stabilize, to come back into this economically. To keep Maru in check. Meanwhile, Maru, he's getting into his 5-rack setup here. Tank count getting higher. The bio count's getting a little bit intense. A little bit insane. Meanwhile, stats back at home, we didn't really get to talk much about it. It's what he was trying to get into in game 1. Phoenix Colossus. You have the Phoenixes from map control. They harass, they punish the mineral lines, they kill workers, they deter any kind of drop play. Meanwhile, back at home stats, he's building up Colossi one after the other. Eventually, he can get into Disruptor production. This is the game that Stats wanted. He stumbled a little bit on the way, and his third base was heavily delayed, unfortunately. But for the most part, his army is looking solid. More solid than before. We're working on our third Colossi. Once we can get into all of our gases, we can take a fourth base. We can start working on a second robot for double Disruptor production. We're not quite there yet, but, that's on the horizon. Until then, Maru, somehow, someway, this is something that's really risky just because of how many Phoenixes there are out on the map, but they were pinned in the corner for a while, and Maru, he took that opportunity to go for a bit of a mine drop. We have a mine drop moving out across the map. The Phoenixes are out of position. The army is moving out, and there is no tag on this. There are no eyes on the move out. Uh-oh. Drop comes in, and no reaction out of Stats. No! Oh! The probes, they bunch up. 11 probes go down, and Maru is moving out. And these Phoenixes, they haven't seen the move out. They're going to be able to punish the economy. They take down a lot of SCVs, but Maru, I don't think he cares. He rotates around, trying to get eyes on any fourth base. A lot of SCVs are going down to these Phoenixes, but can Stats defend back at home? He's on 3 Colossi. He has a couple of shield batteries. Maru is getting in position. No tanks with this move out, by the way. Interesting, but we have disables. The disables are thrown down on these Colossi. Despite that, though, the Colossi, the disables are running out, and Maru is going to be forced back. And this wasn't quite worth it. He does snipe the Robo, but 14 SCVs went down. Ay. And I'll be honest, I thought that the tanks were coming. I thought that when it came to Maru maneuvering there into that position, I thought the tanks came along with him, but no, the tanks were left at home instead. And that means that Stats, he does defend. Now he's going for a big counterattack as well. Has to be careful. There is a minefield. Oof. So far, able to avoid it. The detection has arrived. Mines are going down. Stats can focus on his push. Now, because the robot was sniped, 0 disruptors. 0 disruptors are available here for Stats. He still has 3 Colossi. He has a pretty strong army, but pushing up a ramp into tanks is not going to be an easy thing. The Prism has arrived, warping in another wave of Zealots, another wave of Archons. Army has been spotted. Maru getting in position, getting ready to receive. Mine shots are going to be going off on those Zealots. And there weren't too many Zealots here with the army, as Maru's going to stim on 40. Focuses down the first Colossus, gets a disable on the Prism. Does he have enough to break through? It looks like he barely does. Does force Stats back. But another 14 SCVs went down, and Maru had to pull the boys. It was a very smart disable on that Warp Prism. It meant that we couldn't juggle and save the Colossi, but only 1 Colossus went down. Maru in the middle of taking his 4th base. Likewise, Stats also taking his own 4th. Still 1 step behind Maru in terms of the economy. Other than, of course, killing all those SCVs. There's a lot of workers have been going down. Meanwhile, Stats finally getting into his first Disruptor. 4th base has been spotted by these Phoenixes. Stats rounding out his army, working towards Blink. 2-2 as well. And once he gets his 4th up and running, he can afford to throw down additional Robos, which I do think he'll need to do. Meanwhile, still no turret here in position, and more SCVs go down. Stats doing a great job with these Phoenixes so far. He's going to be bleeding some out, but again, they've done a lot for him. They have kept Maru's economy in check. Does have to be careful not to overextend. He's being very cavalier with his army, considering how little there is with this, with only those 2 Colossi. Maru, he scans ahead of time. He's moving out. Does take down that observer. This time he is moving out with his tanks. This time he is that much more committed. Ghosts have hit the fray. They're available with their EMPs. There is going to be 1 disruptor, I believe. No, sorry, 2 disruptors. Again, not too many, but enough to deter Maru. Let's see how good the Novas are going to be. Vikings are just going to be basing forward, poking in. Good EMP on one of the Archons already. An Archon goes down instantly. At the same time, it looks like a Prism slips into the main base. A massive Zealot Warpman as well. Maru not here at home. The main base is compromised. And Maru has to make a choice. Does he turn around or does he commit? He's going to be committing. Of course he is. He's Maru. He's pushing on forward. I think he took down one of those disruptors, forcing his way up into the 3rd base. Where are those Novas, by the way? Yeah, the SimCity working against stats a little bit there, just making it awkward to engage. Meanwhile, reinforcements back at home are cleaning up those Zealots. There weren't too many SCVs to kill. Novas are going up, but really they just zone the army away. They do not connect. Another Archon goes down. The last Archon goes down. So does the last Phoenix. Maru, he's slowly gaining ground here, picking up high-tech unit after high-tech unit. The Nexus itself may fall. It's an okay connection with that disruptor. But again, you can see how battered and bruised the army of stats is. Every Stalker deep in the red or orange. Again, the Nexus itself barely holding on. And what's terrifying is that we have to hold on to this position. There's only 1 Robo, and it's here on the front lines. An unfortunate position for stats, but that means that he has to commit. He cannot give up. He cannot give up on this position, as he does force Maru back. And a bit of friendly fire with that Widow Mine. But reinforcements are arriving. If Maru wanted to, he could try to rotate over towards that 4th base. But for now, he's still committed. Trying to lure the army out into the open. Another big EMP. Good snipes on those Archons once again. Really good target firing out of Maru. Stats, he's going for another Warpin into the main, but you can see here that Stats, unfortunately, not quite able to achieve much with it. Stats, it looks like he's been missing some Warpins as well. He has a lot of resources in the bank, but he can't spend it. Maybe not enough gateways. Prism does go down. Maru now doesn't have to worry about any kind of backstab. He can focus on the main push. And this army from stats is looking very exposed. It's looking very naked, very bare bones. Sure, there are a lot of disruptors, but we need some beef to this army. We need some meat on these bones, and stats doesn't really have too much. He does go for another Warpin of Stalkers. He now rebuilds 2 of those Archons as well. Oh, the Ghosts are exposed. 1 or 2 of them are going to get sniped. Even a 3rd going down as well. These are expensive losses for Maru. Almost every single Ghost goes down. Really good target firing coming in from stats. Meanwhile, Maru, he's far ahead in the supply, but where is it? He's going for a big counterattack. He sends his reinforcements across the map, but we do have a recall. Recalling into mines. No! Oof. Big mine shots go off. The Colossi go down, and it looks like not enough came back home with this recall. The last Colossus is going to fall as well to these Vikings. And this was not the play for stats. That recall may have just killed him. I mean, he was already up against the wall, to be fair. He was up against the ropes. As Maru's just rallying everything across the map. Decent Novas clean up some of the mines. But without any more Colossi, without any Purification Novas, Maru, he can just keep on pushing. He gets on top of the Stalkers, gets on top of the Zealots as well. Pylon goes down. The Warping does complete, so Stats is going to be able to hold on a little bit longer here. But alas, he's running out of steam. And again, it's only a best of 2, despite the map pick. I mean, Stats, he was able to get into a longer game. He was able to have a stronger showing here in game 2, but still not enough. GG gets called, and Maru will take game number 2 and the series 2-0. Oh, you can see how ecstatic he is on the cams. GG, well played. Maru will be taking down Stats 2-0. Again, though, Maru is an S tier player. Oh no! Did they get rid of the rankings? Did they get rid of like the S tier and the A tier? Bobby. that was the best part. Seeing Rainer rise and fall and like gain S tier and then get it stripped away, and Maru as well, and Oliveira. I think they got rid of them. It's only ELO. Smooch. Regardless, Maru, he's one of the best, or he arguably is the best Terran player in the world. So he's a big name to try to take down, and Stats has struggled a little bit again. You know, he's not at his he's not in peak condition at the moment, but he's getting there. He's working his way up, working his way back, and you know, maybe the new maps and the new patch will reinvigorate him and he can find his footing in the coming weeks. But regardless, it would have been difficult for anyone to go up against Maru. As we get ready for our next best of 2, it's going to be Ryung here, especially coming into Solar versus TY. But I'm of the opinion that Su is one of the players, is maybe even the ace player on KWANGDONG Freecs. Both Su and TY, they have been more active than Stats. They have been more active. Su has been semi-regular in these online tournaments like KSL and ESL Open Cup Asia. Like, Su has been more active. TY a little bit as well in the most recent season of GSL, if you recall. So because of that, I do think that Su and TY will have a higher chance at putting points on the board here and fighting back for the KWANGDONG Freecs. I still don't really know who I rate higher at the moment, either Su or TY. I'm still uncertain as to who is the ace player. I'm really curious as to how they rate them, how the WTO admins have rated them and how much ELO they've given to Stats, Su, and TY. I'm curious where they kind of rate Su and TY, but I do think they're both in better form than Stats. I myself am still like uncertain as to who is considered higher rated, or maybe even the ace player for the KWANGDONG Freecs. But we're here to find out. We're here to gather information and to watch these lovely performances from these players in WTL. I'm ready for it. And yeah, Su versus Ryung is going to be a little closer, of course. Ryung, one of the weaker players on ONSYDE. I'm not saying he's a weak player. It's just compared to Maru and Solar. Literally, Maru being arguably the best Terran in the world and Solar being top 2 Zerg in Korea. It's hard to shine when you're in a team with the caliber of player like Maru and Solar. Ryung, he has self-admitted that he's a little bit of a slower player, but when it comes to his mindset, when it comes to his strategy, when it comes to his positional play as well, that's where Ryung is king. And Ryung, he looks terrifying at times. We've seen Ryung take down Dark. We've seen Ryung take down Hero in TVP. We've seen him really thrive in TVT as well. So there are really strong moments for Ryung. It's just a little bit inconsistent. You know, it's like maybe once a month, maybe a couple of times a month, Ryung really pops off. And when he does, boy, is it impressive. Is he going to pop off this time? Is he going to pop off this week here against Su? I'm really curious. I know Ryung, he's really fond of 8-raxing on Babylon, for example. I know he can be a very aggressive player. But we'll see. We'll see what he brings to the table. We'll see what the initial map is going to be. It looks like we're just trying to get our players ready, and looks like we may even have a little bit of downtime here. So we're going to be going on a very short break. When the players are ready, we'll be returning and we'll be jumping into our next best of 2. So, you know, take this moment to hydrate Hydra, stretch your roaches, cook your Colossus, massage your Marine, and I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. And performances, I would still rate Su higher than Stats. Maybe they are just basing it off of WTL, maybe off of the qualifiers, but Su has been looking really strong, and I do think that Su is far more deserving of a higher ELO compared to 400. I think Stats was like 580, right? Stats was like in the 500s. Su should be there as well, or even 600s. I'm shaking my head. But here we go. In the top left-hand corner for ONSYDE Gaming, it's the Tunataran. It is Ryung. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have South Korean Zerg player for the KWANGDONG Freecs. It is Su. Oh, he's got his #1 fan behind him. Ah, it's spinning. It's Meisenhower. Shout out to Meisenhower. He's a big Su fan. He's a writer over in Team Liquid. But here we go. Interesting. So Su is going for a 15 hatch. This is something that has been rising in popularity as of late, especially because of the Beyond opener of the low ground 2 racks. Speaking of, it is looking like a 2 racks, but a different variation. Ryung, he throws down 1 racks back at home and 1 racks across the map. This is something that Ryung has been very fond of. It's a way to keep the pressure on, to surprise your opponent, and to get an abundance of Reapers out. But Su is going for a 15 hatch into a spawning pool. So Su's going for a very safe opener. What this means is that Su will have faster queens instead of a hatch gas pool, for example. So Su will have faster queens, which means he should have a much more secure defense here against these Reapers. But the reinforcing Reapers are going to come across the map far faster. So I'm really curious as to how this is going to unfold and how well Su can defend. As Su did go for a delayed gas geyser. But again, I'm not too sure if that's going to be as impactful here, as Ryung is looking to just apply that pressure on really early on. I'm also curious to see if Ryung expands behind this or if he doubles down. Ooh, as the SV has stuck around for a little bit longer. Reapers are on the way. They're in production, making their way across the map. And it looks like Ryung is looking to expand. He is banking up his resources to get that CC on location. I'm just looking at the minimap and I can see the CC, the SCV there. But until then, Su, he's going to be moving out across them. His Overlord will confirm the racks back at home, but he hasn't seen the racks across the map. So Su has a little bit of incomplete information. The first Reaper does make it into the main base, but the Queen does arrive. And the Queen is going to be able to help shoo these away. But here comes that second Reaper, and it looks like we don't get a kill on that drone. Oh my god. That drone barely was able to be pulled back in time. And again, Su just flaunting his control here. Not losing anything yet. See another Queen pop out here at the natural. Once again, Su is in position. Now, because of this opener, Su does have a delayed third base, which is a good thing. Like, if he tried to expand and take a third, then Ryung would punish him pretty hard for that. Instead, Su, he prioritizes his third and fourth Queen, and he's going to be staying on 2 bases a little bit longer instead. Meanwhile, 3 Reapers do dip into the main. They take down the tumor, and they want a Queen. But just because they want it doesn't mean they're going to get it here, as one of those Reapers does get targeted and does get very low. Ryung is forced back at the same time. Lings make it across the map as well. We get eyes on the CC. So, of course, Su knows it's not an all-in or anything like that. Oh, he's trying to disrupt the add-ons, but Ling does get taken out. The add-on will complete, as Ryung has the beginnings of a 2-on-1. God, that Queen getting very low, and oh, it does get focused down in the end. Does get chased down. Good pick off here by Ryung, getting 1 Queen. And he needed something to go his way just because he invested so much into these Reapers. Again, he's still containing Su to 2 bases. Su, he's going for a very fast lair and a Roach Warren. Okay, you have my attention. I wonder what this lair is going to be for. If we're just getting into Roach speed just to have secure 2 base economy to get into 3 bases, or if we have something else in store for us. As Evo Chambers are being thrown down, and yeah, with this, it should be just for Roach speed. We shouldn't be rushing into like a Nidus Worm or like Spire play. Ooh, as another Queen is going to go down as well. Su cutting too many corners. He didn't make any Lings. No Lings. He's trying to defend with pure Queen, and he was punished for it. 2 drones go down alongside 2 Queens. A strong start for Ryung, and now the Hellions dip into the natural as well. Again, remember, there are no Lings, so there's nothing here to keep up. The drones have to be pulled, and this is just becoming a bit too much. 5 workers. The Hellions will go down, but they get a full scout. They confirm the Roach Warren. I mean, Roaches are revealed anyway. 6 drones go down. And I wonder if we're going to commit to an all-in from here. Su is droning, don't get me wrong, he is droning, but I wonder if maybe we may even just cut saturation at 3 bases, go up to 6 and 6 workers, and that is it, and just commit there and try to break the 3rd base. that wouldn't be a bad option. As we do have a Ling slip into the main, try to get some scanning information. Does get eyes on both eBays. Ooh, and Su. Unfortunately, he moves out, but there's a Banshee. Banshee does come out. It actually misses the roaches. Oh, Su. Able to avoid it for a moment. Looking to try and do some damage across the map. Can they get much done, though? They can maybe get an add-on. But the Banshee turns back around, and the Banshee should be able to clean these up. Yeah, the roaches, they don't want to deal with that. They get eyes on the timing on the third base. But another important thing here. Those were only 4 roaches. We didn't commit to roach speed. We cancelled it, and we have a Spire on the way. Not just that, but the Banshee's at home. Because the Banshee didn't move out across the map, that means that Ryung isn't scouting. He doesn't know what's coming his way. He doesn't know that mutas are on the horizon. He's in the dark. Now we have +1 Carapace on the way, so this still could be Lingbane Muta. Just because we started with a Roach Warren doesn't mean we have to commit to roaches. I know it's Su we're talking about, and I know he's known for his roach play, but he doesn't have to. So there we go. We have 7 mutas in production. That is more than enough to one-shot a worker. Unfortunate pathing there. 1 roach should be hunted down. But again, Ryung is in the dark. He's not really too aware of what's going on. Do you have a turret on the way? I'm curious as to the positioning. I think the turret is in between the bases, just in case we had burrow roaches. Meanwhile, +1 range is on the way, so we are committing to roaches. And I think roach speed did finish. As the roaches, they were zooming. This is going to get awkward. Okay, so we have a double drop going into the main base of Su. At the same time, we have mutas going into the main base of Ryung. I feel like Ryung is going to get more done. Oh boy, mutas are revealed. Yeah, the double drop comes in. What roaches do we have at home to defend? Okay, we do have a couple. We're going to be able to fend this off for the time being. Yeah, Ryung is forced to pick up. At the same time, the Marines are ready in the main base as well. They do sort away those mutas. The mutas don't really get much done. They get 1 SCV. 2 SCVs for a muta. Not worth it here for Su, but again, he's at least keeping Ryung busy. He's keeping him at home. Meanwhile, Su is committed to roaches. Now, I wonder if like Su is aware of the new patch. What I mean by that, roach play is meant to be a little bit more robust here in ZVT. The reason for that is because there were changes made to the Infestor. The Infestor Pathogen Glands upgrades has been removed, and now Infestors start with more energy. They do start with more energy. Oh god, no! Oh, as the units get caught out. But Infestors do start with more energy, so it does mean that if you want to support Roach Ravager, getting into Infestors faster is more viable, and it helps you so much more against bio-heavy compositions. Su does have an Infestation Bin on the way, which means he will soon gain access to those Infestors, but he doesn't have them yet, and Ryung is moving out. The reality is that those mutas, they weren't worth it. They killed 2 SCVs, remember? 2 workers. They delayed Ryung a little bit, but that was an expensive investment, and the mutas haven't done much at all outside of that. I believe there are a couple of mutas left, and they can maybe try and chase down a medevac at some point, but outside of that, Su, he's kind of diverting his attention to Roach Ravager. Trying to keep up with the drop play here of Ryung. That's the other big downside of Roach Ravager, is that it is quite immobile. It is difficult to keep up with all this drop play. Okay, so it looks like we have 4 mutas remaining, and they are enough to, you know, have some anti-air and to keep up with those medevacs at least. The infestation bit is done. It looks like we aren't investing into Infestors, unfortunately. I mean, I say unfortunately, it would have been nice to have seen them, is kind of what I'm getting at. We're taking a bit of a risk, and we are taking up into Hive Tech instead. We have a Hydra Den and now a Lurker Den on the way, so Su is trying to rush into Lurkers, which can do well. That is a good way to stabilize. I mean, Su, he's already at 4 base saturation. His economy isn't amazing. We'll see if he can survive long enough to make Lurkers, though, because Ryung is about to move out. Oh, the Roach Ravager does force him back. And even though Su is maxed out, the Roach Ravager army doesn't trade too well here, as the Bio army is, you know, doing well against the Roaches, forcing the army to be within range of those tanks as well. He gets on top with some of the Ravagers. Again, this is a good trade for Ryung. But at the same time, Su, he wanted to get rid of some of these roaches. He was maxed out. He needed to get rid of them, needed to free up supply for hydras and soon to be lurkers as well. But these are gonna be lair tech lurkers. The hive upgrades for the lurkers, they only just started. They aren't done yet. Oh, and here comes the army of Ryung, a massive force. And Su, I don't think he has enough to hold on. The lurkers are on the way, but they are scanned ahead of time. Ryung is aware of them. He's holding onto a scan, I imagine, and there we go. He does scan. Insane concave on this army, not enough to support these lurkers, and Ryung is going to be able to stim on forward and get on top of every single lunker. Only one does survive. Just barely holding on. But Ryung is not slowing down, and one lurker is not enough. Yeah, lurker's going to be up. The transfuse. Su barely keeping it alive. He's trying his hardest, doing whatever he can to hold on, but that's just too much Terran. Ryung sims on 40, takes down the roaches, the ravages, the lurkers as well. GG gets called, and Ryung takes game number 1. GG. Again, a really strong start from Ryung. Remember, his initial Reaper opener initially wasn't doing too much damage, but eventually he killed 2 queens. He got a lot of worker kills as well. He got a full scout of both the main and the natural, and Su was playing from behind at that point, especially considering that he delayed his third. Remember, he delayed his third base to be secure on 2 bases, and he was not secure on said 2 bases. He was cutting corners, skipping lings, and yeah, he was punished a little bit for it by Ryung. Likewise, unfortunately, from there, Su invested into Spires, or into Spire Tech, into Mutas, and it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it in the end. The Mutas, seven of them were made, and he got 2 SCVs. That's it. So not worth it for Su, and yeah, these investments, these in a way failed investments because of that, set him a little bit too far behind, and Ryung snowballed out of control. But now Su has a chance here to bring it all back. His map of choice, Altitude. Here we go. Altitude is going to be coming up next year. Again, this also tells us that I think Su just wants a bit of a longer game. He wants a breathing room. He wants Ryung to back off. And on a map like Altitude, I mentioned earlier that Ryung, he's known for kind of setting up more of a 1-2 punch here. It was the Reapers into his eventual push. He has really strong macro. We've seen him execute some really powerful 8 racks as well, but they aren't anywhere near as strong on Altitude, just because the rush distance by ground is far longer. So I do think that Su is going to have a bit of an easier time establishing his bases and getting into a longer game, but we'll see. We'll see how Ryung approaches this and how he changes his style. Ryung, he's willing to play mech. Ryung is more than willing to play mech, so bear that in mind. I wonder, could we even see the new Cyclone? Spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have Ryung for ONSYDE Gaming, our blue Terran, and in the bottom left, we have our red Zerg, Su for the KWANGDONG Freecs. Here we go. We are getting into this, and so far, the first depot is in the main base, at the ramp, I should say. So it's not going to be a 2 racks opener on the low ground. Ryung going for a very standard opener here. Not going to be as aggressive. And again, it's difficult to be too assertive with Reapers here on Altitude, just because of that rush distance by ground. It's difficult to really gain momentum and to punish the Zerg player. So it makes sense for Ryung to calm down a little bit here in game number 2. Adjusting, adapting to the map, to the playstyle of his opponent. Oh boy. So when it comes to what's going to be coming up next here, again, we have seen, as we have a hatch gas spool opener from our Zerg player, we have seen Ryung whip out mech before, and mech can work really well, or different forms of mech can work well on different maps. If we're talking about the old map pool, the Neo Humanity is really good for a more turtle mech style. When it comes to a more battle mech style, then a map like Altitude wouldn't be a bad map for it, just because it's so large. There are a lot of different attack paths. You can be a little bit more mobile on a map like this. You could argue that it's harder to make a more tank-heavy style work here, at least initially. So I'm curious as to how Ryung is going to approach this, or if he plays by it, which I would be more than happy to see. I'm always keen looking for more marine-heavy compositions. Gib, Ryung, Gib. Now, if we had TY here, I would say 100% it's mech. We've seen a lot of mech from TY, especially on altitude, and we'll be seeing some TY later on in the evening. But now, first Reaper makes it across the map. Is going to be dancing with the Lings of Su. Shouldn't really be getting too much here. Shouldn't be getting a Ling, but the Lings are getting a little bit low. Queen is on the way. And yeah, Ryung isn't going to be able to get anything here. At least he shouldn't. As Ryung is forced back. Meanwhile, back at home, Ryung is going for a faster CC. That is a third CC before Starport. Meanwhile, can he get the tumor? He cannot. The tumor is saved. Quick moves there out of Su. As the observer is pointing out, again, it is a 3cc opener, so very economic out of our Terran player. At least initially. As standard can get. Oh, and we have a second rack, so rejoice. Not mech, not this time here from Ryung. He is going for a 3cc into a 2-1-1. So a very macro-oriented variation of the 2-1-1. As we have those Hellions on the way. Should be making 4 Hellions just for some light map control, and then we're going to be focusing on marine production. Now, the way that this works is that this hits later than a standard 2-1-1. When I say 2-1-1, I mean 2 Raxes, 1 factory, 1 starport. This does hit a little bit later than a standard variation, just because of the faster third CC. Again, it is more economic. So it does mean that the Zerg player has more time to drone. It means that the Zerg player is free to just saturate their bases, take a 4th base, work on a lair, and be a little bit greedier here in the early game. If Su is able to recognize, of course, that it is an economic variation, then he can take advantage of that. Getting to double Evo chambers and getting to upgrades. Delay bailing speed, or delay the bailing nest and delay lair. He can cut corners. Of course, the upside is that once Ryung has his medevacs out, he can be very active and he can look to get some damage done. Whether it's denying the 4th base or taking down overlords, denying creep, trading with the Lings, trading with the Queens. Su is going straight for that lair though. So he's not going for the faster Evo chamber variation. He's going for a very safe style here. Su going for a lair at the 4-minute 30 mark. He's going for a bailing nest as well. So with this, he's going to get into fast bailing speed. He's going to get into delayed upgrades, which is just very safe play from the Zerg. Again, he potentially had the option here to cut some corners, but he's not taking any chances. I don't blame him, especially because Su is down in this series. It makes sense that Su doesn't want to take any risks. He wants to just take things slow and steady and just be secure. As the 3rd base has been spotted, Su now getting into his double Evo chambers. Meanwhile, Ryung, now his 2-on-1 is finally kicking in. The medevacs are out, and the drop is upon us. Ryung, of course, expanding, taking a 3rd base behind this. Su has controlled the Zonaga, so he's aware of the location of the double drop. He can respond in time. Interesting, Su's actually not taking the triangular 3rd as his 4th. He's expanding in a linear fashion, taking the base on the right-hand side, which means it should be safe against this double drop. It won't really be threatened. And Su, yeah, he can just focus on defending his main. Otherwise, Ryung could just bounce from 4th base to main base and try to pull Su apart. But instead, he backs off, and yeah, Su actually going for a faster Hydra Den. Okay. Lingbane Hydra on the horizon here for Su. No roaches this time. Ryung is just flying for map control, cleaning up as much creep as he can, and that's a lot of tumors that are going to be going down. Just holding on to this position before rotating around. And yeah, we've had a bit of a more passive opener here. That's why I mentioned before, like, 3cc 2-on-1 does give the Zerg player a lot more freedom, and that's why Su, he's been able to happily drone up to 75. Pretty solid worker count here for Su. Should be seeing another base being taken momentarily, maybe even a macro hatch. As Ryung is working on his 7-minute push, he's been building up his army here, his forces for this attack. He's got tanks, he's got plenty of marines. He's been preserving his marine count as well from the early game. He hasn't really lost many units at all. Now he can focus on this push. Ling Bane is going to be rolling on forward here. The tanks get some good shots off. The split here from Ryung is looking good. Every single Baneling is going to be going down. The tank does survive, and Ryung can keep on pushing. But it looks like he's maybe lost a little bit too much, so he's going to back off. He still maintains his army. Yeah, there we go. He's waiting for his reinforcements. He's rotating around. The Changeling will spot this. Su getting in position. Remember, the Banelings have been nerfed. Or I say that. Banelings, they have less health than they once did. So they can be targeted down a little bit easier here from Ryung. And here we go. The first tank overextends. He's going to get surrounded. First tank does go down. Banelings looking for those connections. Good target firing out of Ryung with the Banelings going down. The Marines again on top of the Hydras. But I don't think there are enough Marines. There just isn't enough Terran. And Su holds. Despite losing all of his Banelings, Su will hold on. But where's that fifth? He still hasn't taken another hatchery. He still hasn't... There we go. The fifth base is now on the way. A little bit late from Su, but it's on the way at least. He's getting into 2-2. Getting to his Hydra upgrades. As Ryung also does back off for a moment, taking his own fourth base. Is going to be delayed. Cute of Su to just have a Burrowed Ling there in position. Just to slow down his opponent. There's the Infestation Mid on the way as well for Hive Tech. Could be seeing Ling Bane. I mean, we should be seeing Ling Bane Hydra into Vipers. We could try to go into Ultra Play as well. That's a double drop on the left-hand side is here in time, and this should be denying the fifth base. Oof. Oh, there we go. We do force a cancel. Good pick off here from Ryung. And this is worrisome. Again, Su, his fifth base was late to begin with, and now it's going to be even later. And the reason why I bring this up is because Ryung's economy is pretty comparable to Su's. Maybe even better. It's 4 base versus 4 base. Ryung, he's trying to keep the pressure up. Going for a double jump into the main, but the Queens are here to defend this off. Another army on the right-hand side, another double jump as well. Something important to bear in mind here is Ryung, let's be careful. But Ryung, he is doing a great job at just keeping the creep at bay. Like, the creep, it's not even reaching the halfway mark here for Su. It's barely connecting the bases. Mind Drop is going to be coming in, and Su doesn't react. He does not! Up! Oh my... Oh. Did we manually target that? 2 workers go down on the right-hand side. Another 3 go down here at the 3rd base. At the same time, Ryung pushing on forward once again is looking to cancel the 5th base. Double drop into the main as well, and Su is being pulled apart. He can't keep up. He's having a hard time keeping up. Even a couple of Hydras are being targeted down as well. Oof. Easy connection with those Banelings. A friendly fire on those Medivacs as well, but the Hydra Den goes down. The Lurker Den is still on the way, but no more Hydras can be made. Not yet. There we go. Su just throw down that tech structure once again. Ryung almost overextending. But yeah, he is back with a vengeance, and he will get a snipe on that 5th. Containing Su here to 4 bases. Looking to starve him out. Again, it isn't just about the economy, it's also about the production. It's about the larva available for Su. Both players are maxed. But again, Su, there's a lot more pressure on him to get damage done, to counterattack. To break free as Ryung. Oh, you're an animal. We have a fusion core on the way, and one full medevac is going to go down. So, bit of miscontrol there from Ryung. But we have a fusion core on the way and 2 more starports. Is he going for a BC transition? Papi. Ryung, please. Have mercy. Could just be for libs, but I'm feeling BCs as we do have an army here on the right-hand side, just cleaning up as much creep as possible. Not enough to break through. As there's plenty of Ling Bane in position, but at the same time, we have another drop coming in. Bailey's not trading too well here, connecting with Marauders. But Sue is holding... Okay. We do have Liberators on the way. I didn't see what add-ons were being made on those fresh... on those fresh starports. But it looks like we're just getting into Lib production. Okay, we're not going BC. We could, though. We totally could. Looks like the Fusion Core should just be for Lib range. I guess Ryung preemptively getting ready for Lurker tech. I mean, the Lurker Den is done, so it makes sense. Yep, there we go. Lib range is on the way, so it looks like the Fusion Core was just for Liberators. A part of me is a little bit disappointed. But this is a more safer transition here for Ryung. He doesn't want to get too fancy. As we do see things calming down for a moment here. Ryung's working on a 5th at around the same time as Su is getting his own 5th up and running. Again, that's a terrifying thought. So at least has map control. He's spreading his creep a little bit further out on the map. Looking to move out the mine. He's going to get targeted out just barely in time. There it is. 9 Lunkers are on the way. They have been spotted. They have been scanned. How much freedom do we have? Liberation zones are on the way. They're a great way at just zoning away those lurkers. Meanwhile, Su looking to outposition Ryung. Does zone him away, and this planetary is going to go down. Good pick off here from Su. Just making sure that Ryung doesn't get out of control. Oh my god, he's going to be committing. He's pushing up the ramps. Oh my god, Ryung just completely giving up this position. Here we go, the Liberators, they have arrived. But maybe a little bit too late. As these orbitals are looking very exposed. At the same time, we have a double jump across the map. Even though Ryung lost his 5th base, he's taking down the 5th of Su. Oof. And Ryung, he's going to be able to reland his 4th. Still 4 base versus 4 base. Ryung has been losing quite a bit here. Gonna have to try to take his 5th as an orbital, potentially. As Su's rotating over towards the left-hand side. Ryung, I don't think... Yeah, he doesn't have a sensor tower. Oh, no, he does! He sees! Pappy. Oh, he does see. He ignores it. Okay, we're going for a base trade. He ignores the army. He's going to be losing his 4th base. The economy of Ryung is going to be non-existent at this point. A lot of SCVs are going to be going down. And Ryung, he doesn't care. He's just sending everything across the map. Crazy choice here from Ryung, but okay. We're going for the base trade. And Su, he's going to take down the 3rd base as well. Ryung taking down the 5th and the 4th at the same time. The question becomes, will Su turn around, and can he turn around? It looks like he will. He won't try to break into the natural. Just going for these fringe bases, making sure that Ryung doesn't have any mining going on whatsoever. Meanwhile, at the same time, Ryung is working towards that 3rd, but there are Bailings on the way. Ryung, he has to make a stand here, but can he? He's going to get surrounded from every single angle. That's a lot of freedom, though. But can he cover everything? Can he cover his backside? As we do see Su trying to rotate around, trying to bypass those liberation zones. Lurker across the map is going to go down. And Ryung, he knocks Su down to 2 bases. Oh, he's going to get caught out, though. He has to be careful. Ryung in a really awkward position. He's stuck out on the map, and Su is remaxing. Su, he reestablishes his triangular 3rd. He has a 4th base out on the map as well. He's trying to reestablish his triangular 3rd. Ryung gets eyes on it. And can Ryung get out of here? Does he want to? The Vipers! No! The Vipers! Oof. One of them goes down, and the other may get sniped as well. Expensive loss for Su. Su, he has this. He just has to collapse on this army. He's ahead in workers. He's ahead in bases. He's going to lose a lot of lings. He's still having a hard time engaging. And now it's going to be Ryung's turn to collapse on this army from behind. Oh my god. Hydras are trying to engage, but again, there are so many Liberators. Ryung, he can still pull this off as he has successfully gotten away. Now sieging upon the most important mining base here of Su. These Liberators are exposed. 1, 2 Liberators go down basically for free. As the link bait does roll on forward. The splits are too good. The splits, the arc, the spread here from Ryung takes down every single Baneling, and now it's only Hydras and Lurkers. Against a pure Hydra Lurker army, I mean, we can just leapfrog forward with these Liberators. We can snipe. Su just doesn't have the best army to engage here. He cannot engage. He has to give up this position. And Su, he can't afford to lose this hatchery. But the freedom is too much. Again, with range being done, we're just slowly pushing on forward. We snipe another Lurker. Again, we need Vipers for this, but we lost the Vipers earlier, remember? That was a huge moment. That was maybe the game-losing moment for Su when he lost those 2 fresh Vipers. Vipers are being remade. Good snipes here from Ryung. This hatchery is looking to go down. He gets the last Lurker. Reinforcements arrive. Plenty of Marines. And without Lurkers, without Banelings, we cannot deal with this army. The base is going to go down. And Ryung, he wants more than just the base. He smells blood in the water. Up! The libs are exposed, but okay, we do pull back in time. And Ryung, he can just keep on pushing. He has to be careful about these Banelings that are on the way. Does have to be careful. Vipers have arrived. They yoink the Liberators forward, but it's not going to be enough. There's just too much Terran, and Ryung has done it. Oh my god, with the fist bump. Ryung will take the series 2-0 in a wild base trade. I feel like Su had the advantage. He was up in bases. Ryung was in no man's land, like with half his army just stuck out on the map, surrounded by Zerg, but also surrounded by freedom. And Ryung able to take the series 2-0. GG, well played. That was a close game too, though. That was a very close game too. Su had, of course, certain advantages. A little bit of slip-ups there. A little bit of slip-ups here and there. Remember, losing those 2 Vipers. If Su hadn't lost those 2 Vipers, we could have seen a very different game. We could have seen a very different game. Suddenly, we have a better way to counteract the Liberators, right? By abducting them into Hydras, by throwing down some power bombs as well. Obviously, there's still some counterplay available because of the EMP, right? Because of the ghosts and snipes and EMPs. There's still a back and forth that comes into play. But Su would have had a stronger chance, a better chance. He would have had a better army. And again, that was a pretty crucial moment, a pivotal moment in that game. Regardless, GG, well played. Congratulations to ONSYDE Gaming as they will take the series 4-0. Even if TY wins 2-0, there is no way for the KWANGDONG Freecs to take this series. But I believe they will still play out the final best of 2 just for standings, for points. As a reminder, we had Masters Coliseum after WTL Summer, and we may have another Masters Coliseum after WTL Winter. You know. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We have our final best of 2 here of this series. Again, ONSYDE Gaming, they have already taken the series themselves. They've already won, but we still have another matchup to go. And here we go in the bottom right-hand corner for the KWANGDONG Freecs. It is TY. And spawning in the... that is not TY. In the top left for ONSYDE Gaming, it is... the red Zerg player from South Korea. I think they're just gonna try to get ready his cams. Question mark. Up. Yeah. Cameraman down. The observer. Is he okay? Oh god. But it is Solar. Unfortunately, he's okay. He's okay. He took like a sip of water. He was choking a little bit, but shout out to Sarutobi, another one of the WTL admins. He was there in time to give him a bit of a Heimlich maneuver, and he saved him. Saved him. Oh my god, that was a clutch moment. We're back. It's all good. We are back, and we are in this ZVT. Unfortunately, it looks like we have lost some of our overlays. we lost the score on top of the screen and all that stuff, but I'm sure it will. You can just switch the colors. But it looks like we are going to be getting into this nonetheless. And yeah, so far, pretty standard opener here from TY. I was mentioning earlier that I was really looking forward to this series just because TY is another one of those players on the KWANGDONG Freecs that is, I would say, rated a little bit higher than the others. Like we saw Stats have a hard time, and again, Stats, he hasn't really been focusing too much on the game, and that shows. Su had a much closer best of 2 against Ryung. Still wasn't able to take a game though. And now we have TY, and TY I feel like is willing to experiment. He's willing to think outside the box, and on a new patch, show us some battle mech, papi. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm ready for. Este TY. Este TY. I was also, as we were getting into this, I was about to criticize them for not having the player colors associated with the team colors. I was like, why is TY blue instead of red? Shaking my head. It's all good. It's all good. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. But now we're getting into our openers. We are near Humanity, a map that's kind of known for its longer macro play. And oh, as I say that, TY, he's going for a 1-1-1. A very aggressive opener from TY. He's going to be delayed. Oh, there. Oh, we're back. Beautiful. Shout out to the lovely organizers, the admins as well. They have fixed the graphics, and we are back. But again, TY, he is going to be going for a more aggressive opener. He's going to be delaying his third TC here in favor of a faster starport. Likewise, Solar rushing into a very fast Roach Warren as well. Both players want to be aggressive. Who's going to hit first? Who is going to hit who? That is the question. As Solar is rushing into Roach's, Roach Warren is on the way. Meanwhile, TY, with that starport, we could go into a fast BC, and there it is. I could see it a mile away. Fusion Core is in production. Now, the scary thing about this is that the Roaches will hit first. If we went Banshee, then the Banshees would be out in time to deal with a Roach push. BC, not so much. BC, it takes longer to produce because we have to wait for the Fusion Core, and the BC itself does take longer than a Banshee to actually crank out. So, TY, there's a scary moment. There's a window. There's a window that is available here that is open to Solar, where he could potentially cripple and even kill TY before he can get into his BCs. And that window is slowly closing. We do have 9 Roaches in production, and Solar's droning behind this. So he's going for a 9 Roach push. This push is designed to take control of the natural. It is not designed to kill, it is designed to cripple. We'll see. If it doesn't do enough damage, this BC could turn the tables in favor for TY. As he does scout ahead of time, he does see the Roaches in the center of the map, but again, we are near Humanity. The rush distance by ground is very short on this map. The Roaches, they're already here at the front door of TY. And they're looking to knock it down. The first Hellion goes down. The bunkers are still on the way, and they are not finishing. The boys, they have to be pulled, and a lot of SCVs are going down. We have to count. We do not have WCS Game Heart. I think 4 or 5 SCVs have fallen. More boys are being pulled, but in the end, we will hold, or will we? Oh my god. As that is a lot of SCVs falling. And again, not a lot to defend. The Marines, they have to come back out. And as the dust settles, TY, he is down to 25 workers. 23 SCVs. Barely an economy here at his natural. He has been crippled. He has been more than crippled. Like, TY, he's on the floor. He's dying. He needs help. He's fallen and he can't get up as he's getting into double BC production. And these BCs, they got a lot of work to do. Here we go. The first battlecruiser teleports across the map. Now, we have seen Terran players win with like 2 BCs before. It has happened. And we'll see if we can do it again. As BC does focus down 4 drones. Pretty good, but there are plenty of queens here. They do reposition here in the main. At the same time, we have another BC add to the natural. 2 battlecruisers have arrived. And they need to get damage done. It looks like 1 queen will fall. Again, it was 2-port BC. That's why we had so little to defend. Solar is supply blocked. To be fair, drones are falling. Damage is being done. But this is still not enough. That's the crazy thing. I think we've killed up to 10 workers so far. 11 workers even. But Solar is still miles ahead economically. The queens are keeping up. Yamato is on the way, and we're still just cranking out nothing but battlecruisers. Nothing but those BCs. So far, TY keeping everything alive. Solar, he does have a Spire on the way. As we do see TY trying to expand and take a third base. Still just focusing on BC production. They are back at home, and they do come across these roaches at least. Once Yamato is done, we can move out across the map. We can kill 4 queens. TY can still snowball out of control, by the way. With the power of 4 battle cruisers, there's a lot that's possible. He's just waiting to repair before moving out. Yamato is now done, and he needs to hit this. He needs to move out now before Corruptors come out. The Spire is about to finish. And once the Corruptors arrive, I don't see TY doing anything else. He does get 2 queens. 2 more Yamatos are ready. 2 more Yamatos are available. But the Corruptors are on the way, and I think it's just too late. I think it's too late for TY. 10 Corruptors in production. Again, the Yamatos are available, but it looks like TY, he wants to be safe and secure. He goes into the main. He's going to be able to focus down at the gas guys, or at least. But in a couple of seconds, the Corruptors are going to pop out. Now, TY does have a recall available, or he can teleport. So he should be able to make it home in time. Up! Up! There we go. He does teleport away. Does preserve all of his BCs. Behind this, he's trying to get into mech. He is trying to make this work. Ooh. But Solar, he's been ahead economically the entire time. He's now on a 4-base economy. He has Corruptors, got +1 air attack on the way. He's, of course, got Roaches and Lynx to support his army as well. Lynx speed in production, and Solar's looking pretty. Again, earlier he won the game essentially with his Roach push, and those BCs had to do an equalizing amount of damage. They had to do as much, if not more, and they didn't. A BC goes down. They get a couple of Yamatos off, which is nice. They're trading well for themselves, but another battle cruiser falls, and yeah, these are just expensive losses that TY cannot afford. Behind this is getting into tanks and cyclones. Roach Ravager is on the way. What's interesting here, and I don't know if this is intentional, but I'm pretty sure this is on the this game at least is going to be on the older patch. I think it looks like they did play on the Korean server, but we are going to be pushing on forward. 2 tanks go down, and we have control of the 3rd base. Basically, as soon as I said Macville accelerators, I was like, wait, that upgrade doesn't exist anymore. Oh, I see. So again, they are playing on the Korean server. CC is going to be going down. GG gets called, and yeah, it's just too much damage early on from those roaches, and Solar will take game number 1. Oh, I understand. Okay. I understand now. The reason why, I think maybe it was the case with Maru earlier. We don't have cams. It's the wrong player. But we don't have cams, and the reason for that, I'm pretty sure this is being played from replays. They do allow you to play your matches from replays if need be, and these matches were played ahead of time because for whatever reason these players weren't available. That's why this is on the older maps.
Production here, I can confirm that I believe Craig said that Solar TY is from replays.
Cool. As we're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left. Oh, that's also why the colors. In the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have the South Korean Terran player representing KWANGDONG Freecs. It is soon to be Huh? Usually they're fast with it, so I have to rush through the intro, and this time, yeah, it's TY. There we go. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent for ONSYDE Gaming, Solar. Oh, going for a pull first. Hello. Este Solar. Okay. Interesting. So with a regular pull first, I imagine this is going to be just a very safe opener from Solar, but we are on Babylon. The Rushes by ground is a little bit shorter. This does hard counter proxy Raxes, or it's a way to hard counter proxy Raxes. I wonder if Solar's going to double down, and if he's going to go for a Roach Warren after this. He hasn't taken gases yet, though. He's going for a pool hatch opener. Okay. Interesting. So a very safe opener from Solar. It is going to be a pool hatch into gas from our Zerg player. And with this, he can get into faster queens, he can get into faster lings. There it is, lings are on the way. Now, when you go for a pool first like this, when you go for these fast lings, they can potentially delay the CC on the low ground. If they're able to bypass the Reaper, they can get damage done. As we can see, though, TY is not going for a Reaper first. He skips the Reaper, he's going Marine instead, which means he will be at home here by default. It means there won't be an opportunity where the Reaper's across the map and it's out of position, and the Lynx come in and Lynx can delay the CC. TY should be fine. Should be, as he does only have one Marine, so there's maybe an opportunity for Solar to get some damage done as he's moving out across the map. He only invested into 2 Lings, so again, this is still this was just a very safe opener from Solar. I don't know if he has history with TY. I don't know if the last time they faced TY proxied, but Solar's just playing very safe. As the Lings have arrived, again, they're going to be looking to delay the CC if possible. The Marine is out, and the Marine should be able to kite with this, and yeah, a couple of boys have to be pulled as well. It's only 1 Marine. We didn't get into 2 Marines. Oh my god. But that is a lot of lost mining time for TY. Aye. So quite a bit of damage was dealt here. Not bad from Solar, especially considering that he keeps the Lings alive. Meanwhile, once again, TY goes for a delayed 3rd CC. He goes straight into a 1-1-1. That is a faster starport. We saw last game that this was to rush into 2-port BC. We'll see what he has in store for us this time. Widow Mines are on the way. Are we going to go for an armory? Once again, Solo going for a Roach Rush. Oh my god. Solo just playing it safe. I say playing it safe. Is being aggressive, is going to be very assertive. Is going to be moving out, and yeah, on top of that, because of these early Roaches, he's going to be able to deal with these Hellions quite well. Medevac is on the way for the drop. I think we only made 1 Widowmine before getting into Hellion production. So we are going for, yeah, a drop across the map with Hellions on the ground to support. Okay. Job has been spotted. Overlord is going to go down. Liberator is on the way as well. TY going for a bit of a kitchen sink. He is committed here to the armory. So he's going for a Hellbat push. Okay. Very committed out of TY. Oh boy. Can this work out? Unfortunately for TY, he's running into Roaches. That's the problem. Like, these Roach openers from Solar, they're kind of shutting TY down. We saw them cripple TY in game 1, and here in game 2, I'm worried that we're going to see something similar. Roaches have been spotted. Can TY do anything about it? He has Hellions to defend. I does have a Liberator. Okay. With the Liberator, he should be fine. Freedom has arrived. Yeah, and with that Solar, he can't really accomplish much here. But what's important is that neither can TY. TY is stuck at home. He went for a build. He went for an opener designed to get damage done. And because of these Roaches, TY, he's stuck in his own natural base. And now Solar is free to drone. He has a lair on the way. Link speed as well. Solar, he is just getting into his game. And TY is stumbling into his own. Just because his opener was inefficient and hasn't done anything yet. Now, he is going for a drop across the map. He's going for a Hellion drop. These Hellions can morph into Hellbats as well. TY is double expanding. He's getting a 3rd and 4th CC at the same time, which makes sense. He has to come back. He is behind. The drones are lining up. Up. Drones are being split, actually, but a couple of them are being targeted down. Oof. Good damage here. As TY is forced back. Only trades out 2 Hellions for 10 drones. Oh my god. I was going to say like 6 or 7. 10 drones for 2 Hellions. Good amount of damage here as TY is going into mech. Because of course he is. I mentioned earlier I was really excited to see TY because I wanted to see him with the new Cyclone, but this is the old patch, so we're not going to be seeing the new Cyclone. Is going to be going for a more traditional mech composition instead. As tanks are on the way, so a Viking coming out, 3rd factory thrown down as well. But again, overall, TY, he did get 10 worker kills, but he needed to. Like, that was necessary damage just because his opener fell on its face. Like, the opener of TY was awful, unfortunately, against what Solo was doing. So he had to recover in some way, and he did even things up a little bit at least. But I would say that Solar is still pretty comfortable here. Now getting up to 4 bases. He's taking up into an infestation pit. The Overseer did go down before getting into the main, so it's possible that Solar may not read that it's mech yet. But he's committing to a Roach Ravager composition anyway. Like, it trades well against mech. As a lair is on the way. TY trying to establish his position here with his tanks. Cleaning up whatever spotterlings he can. 4th and 5th factory thrown down. Scan into the natural confirms the infestation pit. Confirms potentially hive tech. As the hive is on the way. Ooh, big tank volleys. Do go up on those roaches. Here we go. We do see Solo pushing them forward. There are a lot of tanks, but the tanks are exposed. Yeah, 1, 2 tanks go down instantly. A 3rd tank is going to go down as well. Good pickups here from Solar. Doesn't overextend. He loses a couple of roaches. He pushes on forward once again. It will bow down another tank. Ooh, a medevac as well. I think that was a medevac. Good pickups from Solar. Again, keeping the tank count low. Making sure TY doesn't snowball out of control. And that was 4 tanks in total and that medevac. Meanwhile, Solar going to be rotating around, looking for another angle of attack. We've got Vipers in production. 4th base getting saturated. There are tanks in position. Yeah, Solar, he has to back off. Doesn't want to overextend. But the Vipers will change things. I believe there is 1 Viking, which will help zone away the Vipers, but outside of that, Solar, he's going to be able to collapse in that position, deal with those tanks. We'll see if TY can stop that from happening. Oh, okay, Macville accelerators. I was going to say, I was wondering if he was going to go into tanks, into Thors, but no, he's looking to get into Cyclones instead. A bold move. Does help, definitely, but here we go. Solar going to be hitting that 4th base. Getting in position. One of those tanks is going to go down. At the same time, the Roach Ravager getting into the mineral line as well. Another tank does get targeted. And even though Solar's not quite breaking through, he's still picking up a couple of tanks wherever he can. Solar, he still has a strong economy behind this. As long as he keeps the Ravagers alive, this is still okay for him. Yeah, as he's denying mining. The tanks are not within range. Not anymore. CC actually getting a little bit low. Another tank repositions and Solar is forced back. is being forced back. Where are those Vipers, by the way? The Vipers, they arrived earlier. I believe they are topped up full of energy. And there we go. As if on cue, the Vipers have arrived. We can now collapse on this position. Pushing on forward. Blinding Clouds are gonna... Sorry, we're gonna be yoinking instead. Oh my god. 3, 4 tanks get yoinked in. Thors have arrived. Viper's gonna have to back off, regenerate that energy. But 4 tanks is a pretty good start here. A good start from Solar, and again, he's just keeping the tank count low. Solar has maxed out. He doesn't want to throw anything away. It's gonna be rotating around here, trying to get on top of these tanks once again. Looks like he will get on top of at least one. One tank. It looks like the others are looking exposed, and Biles will be raining down upon them. Solar may be losing a bit too much this time. Oof. Yeah, a lot of tank volleys are going off on this army, and Solar's going to get cleaned up. I don't think he was expecting the tanks on the right-hand side, so not the best fight here from Solar, actually. Losing a bit too much. And just like that, TY, he's gotten some breathing room. He has closed the gap when it comes to the army supply. That was one bad fight too many for Solar. He's gonna have to rotate around. Yeah, the Vikings doing a great job zoning and hunting down those Vipers. Yeah, both Vipers will fall. They get a couple of parasitic bombs. But TY, he's holding. He's defending. Like everything, I would say that everything was looking fine for Solar until he pushed in between the bases. When he pushed in between the 3rd and the 4th, like that was, yeah, a really rough moment for him. And TY is stabilizing, he's getting his 4th up and running. Now he's working on the 5th base. The way this style of mech works is TY, he's trying to absorb all of these attacks until he maxes. He's almost there. He's almost maxed out. And when he does max out, that's going to be a terrifying moment for Solar. When TY moves out across the map. With a mech army. With a 200 supply mech army at that. He's not there yet, but he's getting there. Here we go. Solar trying to collapse on this position. He gets on top of some of those Hellions. He does take out a tank. Ooh, not all the tanks are sieged either. Yeah, the tanks are looking exposed, and so many of them are going down. TY, he had almost maxed out. He had almost stabilized, but he was caught unsieged. He was not ready, not in position. He was not expecting an attack at his 4th base. And just like that, in one fell swoop, what was that like? More than half of the tanks went down. 3rd base is forced to be lifted. 5th base as well. And Solar, he skyrockets ahead. I want to say he killed like 8 to 9 tanks. It was crazy. He caught so many of them. And again, there just wasn't enough to support them, wasn't enough to buffer for them. I'm talking Hellions and Cyclones, just something, anything in front of them to keep them alive. Like TY, he's playing like almost a pure tank Viking style. He's got a couple of Hellions now, and there we go, he's making 6 Hellions, so he's aware of how important they are. But he didn't have any at the time. Or he didn't have enough at the time. Once again, we're pushing forward. Once again, the Hellions go down, and the tanks are exposed. Biles will be connecting. The Lings, they close the distance. Oh, and these are just expensive losses for TUI. Tank after tank go down. TUI, he barely holds on to this position. But he was forced to lift up his 3rd base again. 1 tank is left. He's making 4 at a time. TY, he's running out of steam. He's running out of money, running out of resources. And Solar, he's chilling. He's on 90 workers, or 89 workers, to be exact. Got plenty of bases that are taken. And yeah, he's just looking to clean up whatever was left. Yeah, this time he should have enough. He's going to back off. He's going to respect this position for the time being. Waiting for reinforcements before coming back in. Taking down another tank. These Vikings are dead supply. They're not really helping at all. Finally, they do land, but Again, it may just be too little too late as the last tank goes down. GG gets called, and Solar will take game number 2 and the series 2-0. Reinforcing here that ONSYDE Gaming are one of the stronger teams in this league, and they pull off a 6-0 in day 1. In day 1 of WTL. GG, well played. Maru, Ryung, and Solar looking strong. Honestly, I would say that the only game, or the when it comes to the KWANGDONG Freecs, Su looked good in game 2. He was, I would say, ahead in game 2. Like, Ryung pulled off an insane comeback on altitude. Outside